Good evening and welcome to the City Council, Norman Utilities Authority, Norman Municipal Authority, and Norman Tax Increment Finance Authority meeting of July 22nd, 2025. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Dandisbury.
Here.
Councilmember Peacock.
Here.
Councilmember Montoya.
Present.
Councilmember Grant.
Present.
Councilmember Nash.
Here.
Councilmember Hinkle is absent. Councilmember Blodgett.
Present.
Councilmember Dixon.
Present.
Mayor Holman.
Here. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the next item is proclamations, and we have 3 of them this evening. Items 1 through 3 will be voted on in one motion. The first one is a proclamation proclaiming the month of September as National Service Dog Month in the city of Norman. The second one is a proclamation proclaiming the month of July 2025 as Disability Pride Month in the city of Norman. And number 3 is a proclamation proclaiming August 7th, 2025 as Purple Heart Day in the city of Norman. I entertain a motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamations.
Motion.
Second. The motion on the floor is to acknowledge receipt of the proclamations. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast and the motion to acknowledge receipt of the proclamations passes unanimously.
Okay, our first one, a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of September 2025 as National Service Dog Month in the city of Norman. Whereas we believe in the joyful, transformative power of the human canine bond and inclusivity of all citizens. And whereas in the United States, 70 million adults have a disability and only 16,000 service dogs from accredited training programs exist nationwide, and the need is growing. And whereas Canine Companions created the service dog for people with physical disabilities 50 years ago in 1975, creating a new kind of support for disability, and whereas Canine Companions is a nonprofit organization that enhances the lives of people with disabilities by providing expertly trained service dogs and ongoing support to ensure quality partnerships free of charge. And whereas Canine Companions and their service dogs empower people with disabilities to lead life with greater independence by providing best in-class training, ongoing follow-up services, and a deeply committed community of support. And whereas National Service Dog Month aims to educate our community about the benefits of service dogs and the laws protecting their handlers. And whereas the city continues to work towards becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens and their trained service dogs are embraced. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2025 as National Service Dog Month in the City of Norman and encourage all citizens to celebrate service dogs and be respectful of the rights to safe access in our community afforded to the adults, children, and veterans who lead more independent lives because of their assistance. Passed and approved this 22nd day of July, 2025. Would Jeannie Salmon and Eileen Grubbs like to join me up here? Yeah, please come on. We'll get a couple pictures, and then you're welcome to say a few words if you'd like. Oh, that one there, okay. There you go.
Well, thank you for recognizing service dogs for the month of September. They do incredible work for people. Riley's job as a service dog is to love on people. She loves to go to schools. We're going to the Wellness Center tomorrow and visit with the people who are there. And my favorite place to go is OU because the students there just really miss their pets from home. And I even had one girl pull me aside last spring just before finals and said, I just took the hardest test of my life. You don't know how much I needed to love on a dog. So that is what we do. And anybody who has a group that needs a dog to come and visit for people just to pet, please give me a call. Thank you.
I would like to thank Mayor Holman for this proclamation for Service Dog Month. Canine Companions is 50 years old this month. They've placed over 8,000 of those service dogs across the country that are mentioned free of charge. Service dogs are task trained to help an individual with a disability, veterans with PTSD. This is Cash. I'm his volunteer puppy raiser. He goes back to Canine Companions in 2 weeks, and he'll have 6 to 9 months of training, professional training, and then hopefully he'll be placed as somebody's service dog. So thank you. Thank you to Eileen and the American Legion for requesting this proclamation on our behalf. Hard word to say. Thank you.
Okay. Our next proclamation is a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming the month of July 2025 as Disability Pride Month in the city of Norman. Whereas July is recognized across the United States as National Disability Pride Month, a time to honor the history, achievements, experiences, and struggles of the disability community. And whereas approximately 61 million adults and 14.5 million children in the United States have a disability, and whereas this month marks a historic milestone, the 35th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act on July 26, 1990, by then-President George H.W. Bush. And whereas the ADA is the nation's most comprehensive civil rights law addressing the needs of people with disabilities, prohibiting the discrimination in employment, education, transportation, public accommodations, and access to state and local governments, and whereas the passage of the ADA and the result of tireless advocacy and courageous action by disability rights activists and remains a living testament to the enduring principle that all people deserve equal access, opportunity, and dignity. And whereas established in 2019 by the City of Norman, the ADA Citizens Advisory Committee has remained dedicated to serving as a continuous resource on matters impacting individuals with disabilities within the city through personal and/or professional viewpoints. And whereas the City of Norman is proud to have organizations such as Sunhive Collective, ABLE, Among Friends, Thunderbird Clubhouse, and others who are dedicated to supporting individuals with disabilities. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as Disability Pride Month in the City of Norman and encourage all residents to celebrate the countless talents, experiences, and contributions of individuals with disabilities as part of their identity and strength. and to reaffirm our commitment to taking meaningful action to build a city that is inclusive to all. Passed and approved this 22nd day of July 2025. And we have Chris Nanny here to accept this proclamation for us. Let's see if we got this one working.
It's a hard decision to make. All right. My notes. All right, is this working? Great. All right. Thank you so much, Mayor Holman, City Council, for this honor and recognition of all people with disabilities. I'm just here to humbly accept it for the 19,000 people in Norman that identify as having a disability. That's about 15.5% of our population. And I've been very honored and blessed to serve on the ADA committee ever since its inception in 2019. I love doing that work. I've also been a human rights commissioner, and I've worked on many transportation committees and was the chair of the liaison committee for CART for years. So it's an honor and a privilege to do this kind of work for the city of Norman. Precisely because Norman is so dedicated to serving the needs of all citizens. And I'd just like to remember some of those folks that allow us to have disability pride in Norman. First of all, I think we should all be very proud of our country for having this sweeping human rights and civil rights legislation. Alive for 35 years. It's amazing. And when you look at other countries around the world, no other country has the slate of disability services, the protections of the rights and needs of all people in all areas: civil affairs, employment, education, medical care, civil infrastructure. So we truly should be very proud of our country for providing that for all these years, and to work tirelessly to protect those rights. We're very blessed to live in a place like Norman, and we have so many partners and friends and colleagues here that work tirelessly to make sure that our community is inclusive and meets the rights and the needs of all. So I'd like to recognize a few of those partners. The City Council, of course, past and present, the past and present mayors, and the exemplary city staff work every day to make sure our needs are met. Quick shout out to our Parks and Rec department that has built 2 inclusive playgrounds for children of all abilities, and I encourage everyone to go and visit these parks and take your kids and your grandkids. Use the playground equipment that's adapted for all children at Ruby Grant and Andrews Park. So please utilize those services and give feedback to Parks and Rec. Public Works Department is currently working on 27, count them, 27, that's amazing, improvements in intersections and sidewalks. So that is truly, truly wonderful. So thank you to Parks and Rec. Our ADA coordinator, Grace Holloman, our transit coordinator, Taylor Johnson, our friends at Embark. I mean, all of these folks, folks with disabilities couldn't get around and couldn't do what we need to do without these partners. So we thank them. I invite you to get to know all of these people. If you don't know them, please reach out and thank them for their work every day to help all of the folks with disabilities in Norman have a better quality of life. And lastly, I give you some challenges tonight. I invite you to step into my world. And, you know, a lot of folks assume that we sit in chairs all day and we don't do much. But talk to the people on the Embark buses. I'm out every day. And I'm here and I'm there and I'm everywhere. And they're amazed at the things that I do. I'm a charter member of the Wellness Center, which is a wonderful place. Come and visit. I use the gym every day. I use the pool. I go to 4 or 5 different exercise classes, as well as all kinds of mental challenges and art classes and all those kinds of things. So be sure to come to the Wellness Center and see the resources that we have there. And, you know, I've been reading that as we get older, it's good for all of us to have new challenges and to reach out every day beyond our comfort zone and try something different, try something new. So I encourage you to go into our wonderful physical therapy places here in Norman, our medical facilities, our medical supply places. Rent some mobility equipment. Rent a scooter, rent a wheelchair, rent a walker, or forearm crutches for several days, for a week. I encourage you to leave your car at home. Use those mobility devices to get around for a whole week. Talk to the people at Embark, talk to Taylor Johnson. Schedule your rides. Use the city bus system and see what kinds of challenges and frustrations and just the joy of getting around if you're not able to drive. And if you do have these devices that carry you places, utilize those public transits and private taxi services and the on-demand service that we have that's so wonderful for evenings and weekends. Utilize those things, but use them as we do in a mobility device. And check it out. See for yourself. Can you get into your doctor's office? Is your doctor's office truly accessible? Can you get into your favorite restaurant easily? Can you get to the bathroom? Can you go shopping the way you normally do? Can you get to work? Can you get home? Can you go out and see friends? Can you go to your favorite theater? Can you do this at the times you want to? These are all things that I think more of us need to experience so that we can truly be united with all of our brothers and sisters, and we can truly make Norman more inclusive and more accessible to all. So I encourage you to take these challenges and to actually do them. You know, people talk about them, but we don't often do them. So I really encourage you to do that. So thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you out there. Please give me feedback, give the Embark drivers feedback. We all want to make Norman more accessible and more inclusive for everybody. Thanks again.
Okay, we're kind of experimenting on how to do these proclamations and stuff. Would Ernest Martin III like to join me up here? Okay, a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Norman, Oklahoma, proclaiming Thursday, August 7th, 2025, as Purple Heart Day in the city of Norman. Whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration still presented to U.S. service members, first established by General George Washington in 1782 as the badge of military merit and later revived as the Purple Heart in 1932 by General Douglas MacArthur in honor of George Washington's bicentennial birthday. And whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to members of the United States Armed Forces who have been wounded or killed in combat, recognizing their bravery, sacrifice, and dedication to the ideals of freedom and democracy. And whereas Purple Heart Day, observed annually on August 7th, offers a solemn opportunity for all Americans to honor the courageous men and women who have received this distinction and to acknowledge the profound debt of gratitude owed to them. And whereas we recognize the service and sacrifice of these individuals not only on the battlefield but also in the lives they continue to lead as patriots, community leaders, and role models of resilience and courage. And whereas the city of Norman stands united in expressing our deepest respect and unwavering support for all Purple Heart recipients and their families. Now, therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Norman, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim Thursday, August 7th, 2025, as Purple Heart Day in the City of Norman, and encourage all citizens to honor our nation's Purple Heart recipients by recognizing their sacrifice and service to our country. Passed and approved this 22nd day of July, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, thank you. It's a great honor for me to be able to come up here and get this. But, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask you to add one more thing when you think about this. See that man sitting back there in that uniform? 1998, I was a deputy sheriff right here in this county. 1999, I was shot in the line of duty in this county. A bullet went through my arm, hit my badge on my chest, and smashed my badge. If it wouldn't have been for the badge, I may not be here today. Luckily, all the time that I was in the military, bullets went past me and didn't hit me. But I'm the commander for the American Legion here in town. I've been the commander, now this is my 14th year. We have got over 24,000 veterans in Cleveland County. And I know that there's a large number of those that have Purple Hearts. I am lucky enough to be the commander over there, and we work very hard, just to let you know, on disabilities. Last year, we brought in over $9 million in disabilities for Cleveland County residents and people in the general area. This year, we are almost $4 million already. We work hard to take care of our veterans, whether they have a Purple Heart or they just got boogered up while they were in the military. We're going to do everything we can for their disabilities. And like I said, remember our law enforcement guys too. It doesn't matter where the bullet comes from, but you're standing there ready to take it, to take care of this country. Thank you again, guys. I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Okay, you got it. Okay. And we missed council's announcements. There we go. Okay. The next item on the agenda is council announcements, and looks like Councilmember Gansberry stepped out. Councilmember Peacock.
No announcements for Ward 2. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. I hope everyone is having a great summer. So I just returned back from vacation a few days ago, so please bear with me as I'm catching up on emails and phone calls. I will get back to you. And the other thing I would like to say is congratulations to our city clerk, Brenda Hall, for being named as 2025 Municipal Clerk's Honor Roll. She has been... She is amazing. She has been so helpful in so many things. So congratulations, Brenda.
Ward 4, Helen, Councilmember Grant.
Good evening, Ward 4 and City of Norman. I too want to extend a congratulations to Brenda Hall for being added to that 2025 Municipal Clerk's Honor Roll. She definitely makes our lives easier, and I know in her tenure here has had a lot to juggle at times. Next, if you're into printmaking or have wanted an approachable introduction, the last day to register for the Oscillator print camps will be Thursday, July 24th. You can enroll through osc-arts.com and choose from classes in relief, intaglio, screen printing, ceramics, and cyanotype. All participants will have the opportunity to put work in the group print show during the second Friday Art Walk on August 8th at Oscillator Press, which is located at 315 East Main. On Saturday, July 26th at 4 p.m. in Andrews Park, there will be an event called Bubbles in the Park. This is a spontaneous and organic event. This is not put on by the city. This is put on by the residents. Organizers would like you to come find your joy or help someone else find theirs. There is no agenda. No organization, just a time for you to find joy and community. Bubbles will be provided until they're gone, and people are encouraged to bring bubbles to share. On Sunday, July 27th at 7:30 p.m., we have another Summer Breeze concert at Lions Park. World-class OKC keyboard player, pianist, arranger, and band leader Kendrick McKinney brings his trio as the house band and has invited much of the OKC jazz scene to join him as guests for an evening of standards and originals. We have our council retreat next month. If there are suggestions for policy we should consider, please email ward4@normanok.gov. And last, we have several vacancies on our Human Rights Commission. Norman residents are encouraged to learn about the Human Rights Commission. And if seriously interested, they can apply through the City of Norman website via that boards and commissions page. Thank you.
Councilmember Nash.
No announcements this week, thank you.
Councilmember Blodgett.
No announcements for Ward 7 this week.
Councilmember Dixon.
To piggyback on the service dogs, OU Children's, they've got therapy dogs also, and my daughter, a few years ago, she's there about a week and a half. She's been there a lot, but man, it's amazing to see your kid kind of smile for the first time in a few days when a therapy dog jumps up in their hospital bed. So I was really excited about that proclamation tonight. Also wanted to give a shout out to our assistant city manager, Shannon Stevenson. If you're a big fan of the Heartland Flyer, she reached out to her former agency that she worked at in Texas, and they are the group that came up with the $3.5 million or so to get that funded. So thank you. And just kind of, I'd just like to leave us with, everybody's going through something. You might not be able to see it, but let's just be kind to each other. I think we're doing a pretty good job of that. But that's it for Ward 8.
Thank you. Okay, I'd say too on the Heartland Flyer, that funding is only for this coming year. So I would encourage you, if you are friends or family with anybody in Texas that is friends or good acquaintances with anybody in the Texas legislature, we need them to cover their end of that next year. That would be great to keep that going. And so and I'd also mention too, just echoing comments about Brenda, our city clerk. The city manager is the person in charge of the city council. We manage the city budget or try to and do the things, but the city clerk's office is, in my experience, 12 years on the city council, the city clerk's office is where the city is run out of. And if that office was not functioning properly, the whole city, every department would be all gummed up and literally nothing would get done. So I'm really thankful that we have someone like Brenda, because not every city has a city clerk that has many years of experience that can answer questions and knows the law the way that Brenda does. So we're fortunate to have her here, and congratulations to you. And then also would just additionally encourage residents of Norman, if you're interested in serving on any of our many boards and commissions, please fill out an application on the city's website through the clerk's office. And there are many that you might have a particular interest. When I first decided I wanted to serve on a committee, I filled out any. I said, wherever I can best help Norman, put me on it. So we always need citizens of Norman to step forward and help us do a lot of things and make decisions before they get to this level, and hopefully hash a lot of details out before we ever have to make a decision here on the dais. The last thing I have too is just want to thank Scott Martin and the staff at Griffin State Hospital for speaking with us today and answering some of our questions about the status of the hospital staying in Norman, or what's going to happen and what the future of the Griffin Hospital property might be. And so there's a new head of the facility here in Norman, and so it's good to meet them and have that discussion about the future of that area. So if any of you missed our prior meeting that started at 5 o'clock, you can check that out on the City of Norman YouTube channel. And we got a presentation about the Griffin property and a conceptual plan for what it could look like in the future. So if that's of interest to you, be sure to check it out. And that's all the announcements I have. So we'll move on to the consent docket, which this item is placed on the agenda so that the City Council, by unanimous consent, can designate those routine agenda items that they wish to be approved or acknowledged by one motion. Staff recommends that item 4 through 28, with the exception of item 17, be placed on the consent docket. I'll entertain a motion to place items 4 through 28, with the exception of item 17, on the consent docket.
Motion?
Second.
The motion on the floor is to place items 4 through 28, with the exception of item 17, on the consent docket. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast, and the motion to place items 4 through 28, with the exception of 17, on the consent docket passes unanimously.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent docket.
Motion?
Second.
Are there any comments from council regarding any item on the consent docket? Seeing none, okay. The motion on the floor is to approve the consent docket. Council members, you may cast your votes.
And the motion to approve the consent docket passes unanimously.
All right, item number 17, a contract by and between the City of Norman, Oklahoma and Neighborhood Alliance, Inc. in the amount of $50,000 for the Norman Neighbors activities. I'll entertain a motion to approve or reject the contract.
Motion?
Second.
Are there any questions from council regarding this?
Yeah, Ms. Craig, if I could ask you just a couple questions. Just the kind of the purpose of it, what does the city get out of it? What areas is it applicable to?
Okay.
Those kind of things.
This is going to be our 4th year, I believe, of this contract. We've tweaked it each year. And basically, the Neighborhood Alliance is a nonprofit out of Oklahoma City that has a very successful track record working with neighborhoods within Oklahoma City. And former Mayor Clark had the vision of having a similar, experience here in Norman. And so what the Neighborhood Alliance does is that they work with volunteer neighborhood organizations to help them organize, Ward by ward, there's a large mix of different housing developments. The newer ones have the HOA kind of concept. The older ones, primarily Ward 4, Ward 1, don't have that. And so what we are looking for is neighborhoods to take the initiative to form for multiple reasons. You know, neighborhood cohesion, working with issues that may arise within the neighborhood that they can address together, social opportunities, things like that. As a part of that, we will be offering every month a different training that different neighborhoods can go to, whether it is how to form a voluntary neighborhood association, officer training for neighborhood associations, officer training for HOAs, an upcoming seminar that is coming up with Matthew Winton, an attorney out of Oklahoma City, will be basics of homeowner associations, the do's, the don'ts, being able to answer the questions that different residents may have about the structure of their HOA. We've done multiple things throughout the years. Some have worked better than others. I will certainly, talk about that, in that it's very, very hard to get citizens engaged in person these days. So we're really going to more of an online presence. We have been successful with voluntary neighborhood associations. We have 3 of them that are formed within the last 18 months. It took us a while to get there, I'll admit that. They are functioning. They have officers. They have filed with the Secretary of State. They're holding neighborhood events. All in all, those neighborhoods are working very, very well. We would love to see more voluntary neighborhood associations come on board. So,
That's good. Thank you, ma'am.
all right, thank you. Any other questions?
Councilmember Grant?
Have you had interest in other neighborhoods wanting to organize?
Not really. With primarily Ward 4, there's 3 of the CDBG target area neighborhoods that have come together. There are others that are already organized. University has one, Larchmiller has one. We keep trolling, trying to get them interested.
So I just asked, I met with somebody in the Southridge Historic District, which you would think would be pretty well organized, but I guess they're not. And so I was like, I think you guys can sign up for a voluntary neighborhood association if you want to go
Certainly.
that route. So
Certainly, yeah.
So any
And,
neighborhood.
we work with Tiffany to try to get the word out on these events, and once we get the first round of these scheduled, we'll be doing a series of press releases just to kind of gin up a little bit more information.
Yeah,
So,
but it's basically for any neighborhood, like HOA, historic district, or just one that people kind of know the history of, but they're not really sure how their neighborhood
right.
became.
And there's nothing to say you can't have an HOA and a voluntary neighborhood association. They do 2 completely different things. Original Townside has really come together, in all of my years working with the city. That was the one neighborhood that we really strived to get participation. And, a group of neighbors got together, got with Neighborhood Alliance, figured out how to get their bylaws, register with the Secretary of State. They have monthly meetings. They have executive committees and safety committees. They're going to town. And so my hope is that other neighborhoods could see the benefit of this. 20, 25 years ago, everybody knew who their neighbor was. And I'm as guilty of that as anybody, that, anymore you pull into your garage and go in.
And then I had one more question about
You bet.
voluntary neighborhoods. Do they also have the opportunity to use that social pinpoint? Is that the name of that?
Yes, if you are within the block grant area and want to form a voluntary neighborhood association, certainly we could set you up with that. So primarily because that membership is paid by the block grant program, you would have to be one of the target areas to be able to participate
So
in that.
actually not just Ward 4, but there's qualifying areas in Ward 1
Right.
and other. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any further council questions? Okay. Let's see. All right, this is an opportunity for members of the public to make comments regarding this item. Remarks should be directed to council only, since this item was pulled from the consent docket. And are there any speakers who wish to speak on this item that we have signed up?
No, they didn't go ahead.
Oh, right, that's right, this was, so are there anybody, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Evan, Mr. Dunn?
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just say, I fully support this. I think it's going to be an awesome addition to the city's asset portfolio, and it's going to give us an interesting palette on which we can design and do some cool things.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm I don't normally bring my laptop up here, so this is an experiment. I'm Dr. John Scammyhorn, a retired chemical engineer. I've lived in Norman for 44 years, the entire time in Ward 1. In preparation for talking on this topic, I reviewed the background material prepared by city staff on why Norman may purchase Griffin property. I came away with, it is part of the Norman Forward
Scammyhorn?
Plan.
John?
Yeah.
This item is about the Neighborhood Alliance.
Oh, sorry.
The contract for that, the Griffin item will be the next item.
Okay, I thought we were on that item. My apologies.
Do you have any comments about this particular one?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we will get to that item next. Is there any further public comment from anybody on the Neighborhood Alliance item? Not seeing any. Is there any final comment from council regarding this item? No? Okay. All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the contract. Council members, you may cast your votes.
Oh, hang on, sorry. Let me put you back in. Okay.
Redo.
Votes have been cast, my apologies, Councilmember Gainsbury. And the contract passes unanimously.
Okay. Item number 29 is an interlocal agreement for the purchase of real property with the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services for real property trust totaling $3,306,811.48, appropriation of Norman Forward fund balance and transfer of Norman Forward and capital project fund allocations as outlined in the staff report. I'll entertain a motion to approve or reject the contract.
Motion? Oh, second.
And I would recognize Kim Kaufman, Budget Manager, to make a presentation for Anthony Purinton with the city legal staff.
So, as you stated, before you is an interlocal agreement for the purchase of Griffin Community Park. I just kind of want to preface this because it tends to get confused, right? You have Griffin Hospital, which is a separate parcel of property, and then this is Griffin Soccer Park, which is north of Griffin Hospital. They're two separate parcels. Just want to make it extremely clear. We're talking about two different properties. And this is the soccer parks that we're talking about for this interlocal agreement. And so for a little bit of background, the city has leased this property from the state of Oklahoma since 1983, and we've used it as a park, I think, since that time. In 2015, when Norman Forward was approved, it included funding for land acquisition of certain property within Norman that was owned by the State Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, which includes Griffin Park. So ever since 2015, city staff has been in discussion with the state of Oklahoma in order to purchase this property after the Norman Forward passage. However, the department's interest in negotiating a sale stalled, and so we have not been able to fully, until this point, get to a point where we have been able to acquire the property outright. In April of 2019, with both of the parties, I think, intending for an eventual sale, we did enter into a lease, which we are currently under, for use of the park, which continued our use of the park under the prior lease. However, the 2019 lease contained information and property acquisition provisions that kind of, again, looked forward to this day when we entered into an agreement for property acquisition. And then in 2023, the department does come out with a plan to relocate its facility off Griffin property, and that would be the Griffin Hospital itself. And any department-owned property within Norman, because it is owned within a trust for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, by statute, sale of that property can only be used for infrastructure. And which could include building a new facility. So with that in mind, I think that spurred additional conversations with the state in order to acquire that property, which then unlocks capital for any infrastructure improvements they are considering. So from 2023, we begin conversation with the state, and then December 2024, that ends up with an appraisal obtained by the department. What we have today is the negotiated purchase and sale agreement in the form of this interlocal agreement that is based on the appraisal price for that property. So it took us a while to get here, but I think everybody had in mind this is the eventual goal and direction that we were all headed. So, and again, I kind of want to go a little bit into the lease terms for Griffin Park, because those, again, back in 2019, did include certain provisions that now relate to the property acquisition. Again, it was a 30-year lease term, and we did go from paying $1 a year to $80,000 a year of Norman Forward funds. And those funds were always intended, in the provisions of the contract include that any rent payments the city made would be utilized to offset the eventual purchase price of the property. And again, the city also was able to, although we didn't acquire it at the time, we did acquire the right of first refusal, meaning that the department could not sell any land within Norman during the initial lease term unless they sold all of the property at once. And that was to kind of ensure that we were able to get Griffin Park in the event that they did start selling off property. And again, we wanted that to include any eventual purchaser. We wanted to make sure that the lease remained valid even if there was a sale of the property. So the interlocal agreement that we have negotiated with the department is for Griffin Park, and as you'll notice, Griffin Park specifically on the map, it's the about 156 acres off of Robinson and I think 12th, and again, the purchase price is directly tied to that December 11th appraisal obtained by the department, which is also supported by other appraisals that the city has garnered independently. So the purchase price, as you see here, is the price per acre that the appraisal identified. And again, that $3.3 million is going to be offset by all rental payments the city has made thus far, which is around $500,000. And then the total price to purchase the property at closing would be around $2.8 million that the city would be providing. So upon approval of the interlocal agreement, the department has, their trust has already approved the sale. This would bind both parties, and then we would proceed towards closing on the property, which would, we anticipate occurring within the next 30 days. So we would exchange deed with the purchase money, and then we would file it, and then the city would be a record owner of the property. So, and I didn't go any in depth into the financing or where the money is coming from in terms of the budget, since we did talk about that at 5. But I did want to give an overview of the history and then the interlocal agreement itself. So, if there are any other questions, I will happily answer them.
All right, are there any questions from council regarding this item? Okay. This is an opportunity for members of the public to make comments regarding this item. Remarks should be directed to council only. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers registered for this item?
Yes, Mayor, we'll start with John.
been encouraging to me in disability getting around. I'm not in a wheelchair. So, again, my name is Dr. John Scammyhorn. I'm a retired chemical engineer and have lived in Ward 1 for 44 years. I've been reading the background material, and thank you for that presentation, Anthony. That was very valuable. And I've been reading the material from the city staff on this topic. And in reviewing it, I come away with the explanation. It is part of the Norman Forward Plan and Continuum of Care strategy. Beyond that, it seems to be a lot of trust us, we know what we're doing. Forgive me for being skeptical, but we just saw a recommendation of permanent supportive housing on Triad Village Drive. Staff seem to think it unimportant to inform Wyndham Senior Living Facility residents that 20 to 60 units for the chronically homeless, and that number seemed to depend on the day of the week, would be constructed next to them. These seniors didn't accept the trust us explanation. Could there be analogies to the Griffin property? I hope not, and I think that it is totally different. It's obvious that's true, but I just urge you to be sensitive to situations like we ran into with the permanent supportive housing. $3 million is a lot of money, and I urge you to treat it as if it's your own. Being a skinflint is not a bad thing when spending taxpayer money. Ask questions and please be circumspect in spending funds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terry Cox. Is Terry Cox here? Okay. Mayumi Wendler.
Hello, Mayumi Windler, Ward 2. I think this is a good idea. The whole thing of spending, going from like $1 to the whole 80,000, that's a lot. I'm glad that we get credit for that, so that's good. Parks are good. I like them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janice Oak. I'm sorry.
1400 Garfield Avenue. John, I'm sorry. This is what I fully support. I just didn't want to miss it. This will be a great addition. Let's fast track it.
I believe that wraps it up, Mayor, for this one.
Okay, is there from anybody in the audience? Seeing none. Okay, are there any comments or questions from council? Councilmember Grant.
Yes, I just want to take this opportunity to thank city staff for working diligently to acquire this property. I think I said a couple weeks ago, I'll believe it when I see it on the agenda, and here we are. So thank you so much.
Okay. Councilmember Nash.
All right, I just want to clear a couple things up. So like this parcel that we're purchasing is covered in the soccer fields, correct? And so there's not really any place that we could be developing something else in the future because it's pretty much all occupied space. And we put a lot of money into the soccer fields. And now if we didn't purchase this parcel, the state would probably sell it to somebody else, and that somebody else then it's outside of our control. Then maybe we wouldn't have the soccer fields anymore. And as an asset to the community, these soccer fields, you got to think about the economic stimulation that happens whenever we have all these big soccer games. Each soccer game might have at least 50 adults going there. If it's early in the morning, they're all going getting Starbucks or whatever, coffee. beforehand, and then while they're out or going out to eat afterwards, they're spending money in the community. Yeah, so it's an area that we can't afford to lose, for more than just the fun of playing soccer. But it kind of seemed like there maybe were some misconceptions on what this purchase represented and what it could eventually come. But it's pretty simple. It's just buying up some soccer fields that we've put a lot of money into to keep it in our community and keep it on with us. So that's it.
Any other comments from council? Okay. I would just note too that the purchase of this property is something that Norman voters approved through the Norman Forward Initiative in 2015. The budget then was $10 million. But I mean, as someone that grew up in an apartment complex, $3 million is more money than I could have ever imagined in my life spending on anything. So it's taken 10 years at least since Norman Forward that we've been working to try to purchase this property. We may not have another opportunity to purchase this property, and so we're getting it, I think, for a better deal than we would have 10 years ago, which is probably not a very common thing. Usually it increases in price. So I do appreciate the concerns about fiscal oversight and this purchase, but Griffin Park, I think, means a lot to a lot of people. I grew up playing sports there as a kid, and we just had the dedication for the new murals on the silos, and we have, as Councilmember Nash and others noted, we've invested millions of dollars. The city of Norman and the Norman NYSA, the soccer organization Norman, have invested millions of dollars into that park, and so I do think this is the best decision for us to make financially and for the future of Norman and that park. So again, I appreciate the comments from the public, and with that, the motion. Sure, yeah, Councilmember Nash.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an awful idea once we do own the property to lease a small part of it to a, maybe not a Starbucks, something that big, but, Yellow Dog or a Scooters or some other coffee place. That way we can, because anybody that sets up a coffee place on the soccer fields is just going to make a killing. And so we could pretty much charge anything we want to lease it out.
I mean, we got concessions at the YFAC that are that, so. Okay, if there's no further or final comment from anybody on council, the motion on the floor is to approve the contract. Council members, you may cast your votes.
All votes have been cast. Approve the contract passes unanimously.
Okay. The final item on the agenda this evening is miscellaneous comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address City Council. Due to Open Meeting Act regulations, council is not able to participate in the discussion during miscellaneous comments. Remarks should be directed to the council as a whole and limited to 4 minutes or less. Do we have anyone signed up for miscellaneous comment?
Yes, Mayor, we'll start with John. You good? Okay. It's Terry Cox. Has Terry come in since? Okay. Diana Hutzel.
Good evening, Diana Hutzel, Ward 5. I'd like to offer a few items for your consideration during the retreat. I have concerns about Norman's financial outlook. Just wanted to share some of that with you today. The Central Library remains in legal limbo. In May, a lawsuit was filed against the City of Norman for alleged negligence over mold exposure and permanent lung injury sustained while working in the building. Claims that in other cases have resulted in multi-million-dollar verdicts. More lawsuits may follow and remediation costs could continue to climb. My question is, what is the plan B if the city's lawsuit fails or falls short? City budget data shows Norman's per capita income was $20,603 in 2000. Adjusted for inflation, that figure should be $37,292 in 2025 just to break even, but it's only $33,015. That's a $4,300 drop in buying power despite 25 years of economic growth. This raises serious concerns. Is Norman bringing in the kind of jobs and industries that grow the local economy, or just treading water when it comes to building long-term opportunity? are higher income residents leaving Norman? What's the city's plan to grow the economic base and raise real incomes for residents of Norman? The FY26 budget projects a $9,400 jump in per capita income from that $33,015 to $42,405 in just 1 year. Reaching that would require an extra $1.2 billion in total income across Norman's population. What's the basis for that projection? Sales tax revenues have declined, down 8 out of the last 12 months, a trend not forecasted in earlier budgets. The January mid-year review projected deficits nearing $40 million through FY30. How is the city adjusting its plan to address these falling revenues and forecasted long-term shortfalls? The last item I'd like to address is about the land. Norman annexed most of its land in the 1960s, expanding from 13 to nearly 190 square miles. Over time, the boundaries between Norman and neighboring communities have blurred. Many outlying areas have closer ties to nearby cities and school districts than to Norman itself. Ward 5 includes 7 voting precincts covering North, East, and South Norman, with large areas no longer recognized by the United States Postal Service as being in Norman. Many addresses fall under Newalla, Newalla, Noble, and even Oklahoma City. These areas also fall within other school districts, including Little Axe, Moore, Midwest City, Del City, Noble, and even McLeod in Pottawatomie County. Amid declining tax revenues, growing constraints on city resources, and increasing reliance on reserve funds, it may be time to reconsider whether Norman's current size of almost 190 square miles is sustainable or strategically necessary. These outlying areas, now more aligned with other communities, continue to receive city services funded by Norman tax dollars, including infrastructure, road maintenance, and emergency response. Over time, this arrangement has placed an increasing strain on Norman's budget and may be indirectly supporting the growth of adjacent jurisdictions. Council should evaluate whether continued inclusion or potential de-annexation better aligns with the city's long-term fiscal health and strategic planning goals. This is not about relinquishing land or abandoning residents, but about making prudent, data-informed decisions to strengthen fiscal health, ensure equitable service delivery, and better align city boundaries with how these areas actually function and identify today. I appreciate your consideration of these critical issues as we plan for Norman's future. Thank you. And I do have an email that fleshes out more what it is that I'm talking about the land, and I will send that to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayumi Windler.
Hello again. Mayumi Windler, Ward 2. Okay, so the last speaker, that whole de-annexation thing, I have kind of thought about that before and wondered, could that be a good idea? So, because, a lot of Ward 5 is rural and Norman isn't. So there is a pretty big divide there. So it's something that I think is very interesting. Along the money stuff, for the June report, so sales tax revenues were down 1.78 million from the budget number. General fund revenue down 6.37 million. Expenses were down 7.61 million. What was cut from the budgeted expense number? And then for the study session, the Griffin Memorial Hospital area, looking at the proposed plans of that land, I'm concerned about Francis Cate Park. It looks like it's been shrunk, and I don't like that. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Chris Naney.
Hello there, Chris Nanny, Ward 1. As a charter member of the Wellness Center, the Adult Wellness and Education Center, I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention that the members have been talking about recently, and they range from serious safety concerns down to just some kind of minor things, but things that still need to be taken care of. Many of us, and we're in the process of creating a letter to send to council and also to the board of directors at the Wellness Center. We have safety concerns about the pool. Many of us feel unsafe using the pool at the Wellness Center without lifeguards. And I know they're expensive, and the Wellness Center right now is going through a change of the nonprofit status and that sort of thing. So we're aware that those things are going on, but we just want to keep that in the forefront and make sure that that's something that council is aware of, that there are many of us that would really feel much more confident using the pool if we had lifeguards. So if that is possible in the future, we'd really like to see that happen. Another safety concern we have for many of us who take the cooking classes at the Wellness Center are the drains in the kitchen. I don't know if the city is aware of this, but the drains are incomplete. I mean, I'm not a plumber, but I've seen cooks pour hot water into the drains, like if they're cooking a pot of pasta or that sort of thing, and the pipes on both sinks in the kitchen do not extend all the way to the floor. So there's a gap of maybe 6 inches or so between the pipe and the drain in the floor, so that hot water splashes on their feet, their legs, and looks very dangerous to us. So we've noticed that the whole 2 years that we've been there. So we just wanted to make sure that came to your attention. We're also getting a letter together for that concern as well. Many of us are talking about a recycling program at the Wellness Center, and we're hoping that the city would be able to help with the collection. We know that the city, provides the collection containers for homes and possibly some businesses. So we're hoping that the city would be willing to provide recycling collection as well at the Wellness Center. With 4,000 members, I'm constantly seeing resources in the trash that could be recycled. We go through a lot of paper and cardboard, a lot of metal cans, plastic bottles, so it would really be great to see those resources recycled rather than wasted. And then down to the more minor things that still need to be taken care of. In the kitchen, we'd really like to see a mirror installed on the ceiling. That would just help with the cooking classes. It would allow the people watching to be able to look in the mirror and see what the cooks are doing. Right now, it's difficult to see over the counter or see into the pots and things. So that would just be really helpful to have a mirror installed on the ceiling. And then 2 restroom concerns. The restroom adjoining the gym does not lock, and kind of sticky situations where you can't lock the door and people have walked in on us. So we'd really like to see that lock get fixed.
Thank you, Chris. That time is up, but thank you very much for coming down this evening and sharing that with us. Yes, is there anyone else signed up?
Yes. We're moving on to Evan.
Okay. So before I get started, let me just say that the farmer's market is also operating on Tuesday, and starts at 4 o'clock and goes till 7. I guess it's over now. But if you want to get there early, go there early. What else? Okay. So I'm all about self-enhancement. Here's another trick. I'm not, all right. What's in the box? What's in the box? Have you ever seen one of these? It's a pillow on which you rest your head, and there are hundreds of these tabs that can enhance your awareness. Each one compresses a spot on your body, and that is changing the neural electrical storms. That is how you, from your home, combat neurodegenerative diseases. That is something that can enhance people, and it only costs 25 bucks. You know, it is one of the best investments that I've ever made. So there's that. Okay. The PBS and NPR funding cuts. I want to read a little bit from this book that Donald Trump wrote, How to Get Rich. He writes, when it comes to picking a financial advisor, rely on your own judgment, based on what you read in reliable publications like the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Business Week, and Fortune. They're usually terrific, even though on occasion they say some negative things about me. I'm angry at Fortune at the moment, and for good reason. But even Fortune sometimes manages to awake from its stupor to report something worthwhile. I'm particularly impressed with an editor there named Jeffrey Colvin, who is also host of Wall Street Week on PBS. What? Donald Trump has gotten some value from PBS. How dare he? How dare our representatives? How dare Tom Cole? How dare Senator Langford? How dare Mark Mullen deny Mark McGrath? You Bet Your Garden? Oh, that's a politically biased show, isn't it? Science Friday? That's a politically biased show, too. What else? TED Radio Hour? That's a politically... These are shows and programs that we are incentivizing because we believe in the capacity of the human mind to transcend divisions. I cannot understand how somebody can dismiss that in favor of magical thinking and giving people security so that their biochemistry is, so cozy. It is shameful, and we should be in the streets. We should be demonstrating our disdain and contempt for that and how simplistic it is. That's one reason why I went to China 10 years ago. There were so many components of this culture that were about testosterone and aggressiveness and adrenaline. Well, hey, here's what you do. You've got
Nancy Ashton. David Davila.
My name is David Davila. I'm with Ward 1. And I lived over there at Triad Village, and we have some issues over there going, and I guess it didn't help our cause very much. I guess it's a done deal, but I guess about Griffin, I worked at Griffin for 19 years, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in the place, and I'm glad that finally we're getting a good deal on it. It would have been nice if mental health can build a new place there instead of Oklahoma City. We've lost a lot of jobs and money due to that, and our homeless issue has been exacerbated because of it somewhat, because we did hold a lot of people there at Griffin and got them in the community, but that's going away. And as far as then with the apartments and stuff, that's a fine deal. I just hope we kind of watch what we're doing and keep an eye on things a little better. And that's about all I have to say.
Thank you.
Greg Stover.
Greg Stover, Ward 1, Wyndham Place. I had a really good little discussion with our assistant city attorney prior to the meeting. I know there's been a lot of decisions already made. I know we had surveyors out on the lot across the street from us. I say across the street, across the drive, actually, 100 feet from us. We have a lot of concerns, and we need some answers as we go forward. And I know, again, that it's probably too late, too little, too late. I don't know. Our assistant city attorney indicates that it isn't a done deal, and so we really have some concerns as 50, 58, 59 residents at Wyndham. And again, you all have heard it, the daycare center next door and their parents that are utilizing that service. I don't know. I see maybe in the near future a mass exodus of people in these facilities, and maybe those can be turned into something for the homeless. I don't know. That's just something that runs in my mind. The concern that I've had is the lack of enclosure, I guess, for our property, which doesn't belong to me. I'm just a leasee there. But it's just, we've had issues with those folks that need to have a place to spend a night that's more than what we can give them in our yard or coming in our locked doors or whatever seems to happen. But again, if you'll keep these things in mind for us seniors and the daycare center, I don't know, the lofts to the south of us are pretty high dollar condominiums there, so I don't know if they've had any discussion with any of you, but I do want to say thank you to the group that came out to our place week before last and visited with all of us. David, thank you, and others. There's been several. And that was much needed. We needed more information, and I don't know that we've gotten through what we need to know and what's going to happen, but I appreciate any concerns or items that you can come up with that would lead us to a different opportunity, a different way of solving some of the homeless issue. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Russell Rice.
Let me get that feeling. Hi, Russell Rice, Ward 2. Just a few things. One is the library has been mentioned. It was the #1 place where my unhoused friends could go and literally chill out for the summer. So without that, they're kind of sweating all day. And without a chance to cool off, it can get kind of stressful. So I'm asking for a cooling station. Pretty simple. Shade, wind, not much, some water. Also, thanks for returning the mayor's parking spot back to a handicap spot. Really appreciate that. For those of you that didn't know, the previous mayor stole a handicap spot, turned it into his spot. Yes. But we're not supposed to talk about that. No? It was a regular spot, okay. Good, I'm glad it's a handicap spot. We'll leave it at that. And then we need a stoplight at the dadgum James Garner and the railroad tracks. the new James Garner cut through. Yeah, I've seen like 2 wrecks there, personally. So it's really, really dangerous. People just don't care. They just pull out because they don't know. So, also, thanks for the supportive housing purchase. Once you house somebody, quick reminder, whenever you house somebody, they're now housed. It's a real simple, it's like whenever you put somebody in a house, they're housed. It sounds simple, but it's so difficult. So thank you all for taking the time to do it. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Final comments from council. Councilmember Gansberry?
Yes, I was, not necessarily to the public comment, but as a whole and everything, I was wanting to also take this time to personally thank Wingham for having us out there to have a talk out there about what's coming, what it's going to be, and we also going to have those talks in the future as we all learn what it's going to be and what the plans are. Right now, all we're doing is purchasing land, as we talked about at the last meeting. But I also want to say a huge thank you to Middle Earth. I was able to reach out to Middle Earth's director and ownership group and was able to have a sit-down meeting along with the assistant city attorney and others. And we had a very, very productive meeting. We also plan on continuing talks and actually going to a parents' night that they're going to host so we can also explain everything to the parents of our little ones that go to that facility as well. That way we ease the concerns of them as well. We want to see that enrollment increase, not decrease in any means of the imagination. I also want to thank the Meadows that sits right behind Wingham. Invited me out to their HOA meeting this time. And there we was able to discuss the project, what the hopes are, what the dreams are, be able to educate, answer some questions and answers, and also just get some public feedback about how they're worried about the roads being driven by, school buses and different things like that we're also going to try to address for them and see if we can help with. But everybody in Ward 1's been really supportive so far, been really reaching out and opening their doors to me, and I appreciate that very much as we all move forward and try to make Norman a better place to live.
Thank you. Any other comment from council? Okay. I do just want to mention one thing just because I'm a little nerd about it, and that is we're talking about the size of Norman. So Norman is about 130,000 people, and our city limits, as mentioned, is nearly 200 square miles. And so just a comparison for entertainment purposes, but San Jose, California has a little over 1 million people, and Norman is 2 square miles larger than San Jose. Norman is larger than New Orleans, Wichita, Kansas, Denver, Lubbock, Omaha, Las Vegas, Nevada, Mesa, Arizona, Detroit, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Little Rock. There are Salt Lake City, Orlando, Reno, Laredo, Texas. Norman is much larger than any other city in the United States of our population. And as further comparison, Norman and Tulsa are about the same size in city limits. And Tulsa has 400,000 people, and we have 130. And so it is a very good and valid point to note that it can be a real challenge for a city like ours with a smaller tax base to maintain infrastructure that covers almost 200 square miles. We have nearly 1,000 miles of paved roads in Norman. We have a dense urban historic core with old neighborhoods. We have newer suburban neighborhoods. We have rural areas that are very rural and very different from the area of town that we're currently sitting in. So there are a lot of diverse dynamics involved in the city that we live in. And I would just encourage you all, if you're interested, to pull up the Google maps and just type in Norman, Oklahoma, and take a look at a picture of the city limit outline of Norman and see just how large it actually is. So that's just a little thing that I'm a nerd about, and encourage you all to look into more, because it is really important how we're able to keep this thing going. And then lastly, I didn't see you all on the agenda for anything, but I did want to recognize the scout troop that's here and encourage you to continue coming to our meetings if you're interested. And if there's any way that you all want to be involved here at City Hall, we'd love to have you back to do the pledge or anything else. And if there's any other activities that you'd like to be involved in with the city, I'm sure we'd love to have you. So If there is no further comment from anybody, then this meeting is adjourned.